Thank you so much. We have one presentation this afternoon. We are going to be honoring a local nonprofit, and if you would come forward. Thank you. Good to meet you. Yes. John Zizalfo is here from 811, and we'll tell you what that's all about. New York 811 is a service that allows construction crews to discover if their work site contains utility infrastructure. Crews can call 811 in advance of any excavation to receive notice of electrical or gas lines as well as water mains in the area. Their work is a crucial tool that keeps local workers safe and can also be used by the average homeowner who is planning any sort of digging or excavating on their property. And that's really important because we always think of it in terms of our crews, our DPW crews, public safety, everybody that's out there in the community, but certainly local residents can avail themselves of that service. So we have a citation here today for New York 811, and accepting the citation on behalf of them is John Zizalfo, who has also worked with the town to help educate our employees on the importance of practicing safe excavation procedures. I know that we try very hard as much as we can to offer training and these kinds of informational things to our employees, and John's organization has been very, very helpful. It was a number of months ago that we assembled all of the crews and they came down and did their presentation, which I know was very well received. So on behalf of the town board and all the residents of our great town of Islip, we would like to give you this proclamation with our thanks and gratitude. Thank you so much. You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right, everyone, we're here. One more.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. We'll probably almost due for it. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call this meeting of the Islip Town Board to order. We're going to begin this afternoon with our scheduled public hearing. For the board's consideration, I call upon the town clerk, Olga Murray, to please read the hearing notice.
Thank you. The first hearing is to consider enacting local law number 2 of 2017, amending local law 3 of 1989 as it relates to chapter 68-335 of the Islip Town Code.
Are there any questions from the board? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing and adopt the code change.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, if you would please read the second hearing notice.
Hearing number 2 is to consider amending various sections of the Islip Town Code, chapter 68, zoning.
Are there any questions on the hearing? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to close the hearing, accept the changes.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Flattery. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. That concludes our scheduled public hearing. We will now move to the public portion. We have a pretty long agenda today and quite a number of speakers who have signed up on various topics. Some items are on the agenda, some are not. But just to remind everyone that you have 3 minutes to address the board. It is your time to speak and our time to listen. It is not a question and answer period, but basically for you to bring forward any concerns that you have. If there's anything specific that we can help you with, you know, right here and now, whichever is the appropriate commissioner or department head will go out with you and see if we can take care of it right here and now. But before we begin the public hearing, I would just like to ask our Commissioner of Parks and Public Works, Tom Owens, to come up to please give us an update on the status of Roberto Clemente Park. I know this is something that everyone is most anxious about, none the least of which is this town board. that is doing everything they possibly can to see this wonderful park opened as soon as possible. We've had some interesting developments, some more challenging than others, but in any event, if you would, Tom, give us an update.
Sure. Thank you, Supervisor. Good afternoon, Supervisor, members of the Town Board. I'm here to address the Roberto Clemente Park update, and the good news is the final phase of the field remediation work is scheduled. Actually, for this week, we anticipate, weather permitting, for the remainder of the topsoil NC to be completed, certainly by the end of the week. Obviously, it was with a tremendous challenge to meet the requirements of the DEC, and as your Parks Commissioner, let me apologize for this lengthy process. And we also like to thank the DEC for working with the town on this initiative. The playground and basketball areas have been cleared and prepped for your use. We have made some needed repairs to the playground. We've installed new benches, added picnic tables in the area. We renovated the baseball fields, including the infield, and painted the backstop. We added a multi-purpose field for the community use for soccer, lacrosse, and other activities that wasn't in the park, actually, so that will help some of the young students. The parking lots have been patched and cleaned. We have repaired broken curb. We will be striping the parking lot this week, starting tomorrow, actually. And the signage throughout the park has been updated and replaced as needed. Beautiful stockade fencing was installed around the perimeter of the work area. We have renovated and painted the park entrance booth. All the trees have been trimmed, all the broken branches removed. We have also raised the tree umbrella inside the park so that public safety personnel can easily see activity in the park. Our planning division installed new sidewalks with handicap ramps on Nolan Street on the north side of the park. We also installed a number of handicap ramps throughout the community to create easy access to the park and make it safe for children walking through the community. And obviously, our work isn't done. In the fall, we will irrigate the fields and the entrance area and oversee all grass areas. More exciting news. Today, we had a walkthrough for the pool renovation project with a plan to open the pool next summer. We had about 6 to 8 takers on that walkthrough, so we're confident that it will come in and a good company will get it and it'll be competitive in nature. We continue to work with Assembly and Ramos for a long-term plan to construct a state-of-the-art spray park. If anybody has any questions, I'm certainly here to answer them.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. What was music to my ears, and I'm sure everyone else, was to hear you say the word final phase. It has been a long time coming, and I'm so glad that you mentioned the DEC. They have a job to do, and we have worked very, very closely with them. In fact, I was on the phone this morning with the Commissioner. There are criteria that had to be met every step of the way, and it is the right thing to do, it's the necessary thing to do, but unfortunately it added a lot of time to the process. And to your comments about the walkthrough today, I think that's very important for everyone to understand. We sent out the RFP for the renovation of the pool, but what you guys did, and very wisely, was requiring that walkthrough. So this way the bidders come, they see what's involved, so there's no misunderstanding when they're submitting bids and no delays in the process. We're trying to do everything we can to help expedite the process. So, Commissioner, to your staff that has gone above and beyond, I just want to publicly thank you for that. Are there any other questions or comments for the Commissioner?
If I may, Supervisor, as well, I'd like to thank Chris Poker, who's in the engineering department, his staff under Ron Meyer and Michelle, and also the town attorney's office. There's obviously a lot of attention on this park, so we were it was sensitive in nature, so we made sure we dotted our I's and crossed all our T's. So I would like to thank those divisions for making it seamless.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tom. Okay, let us move now to the public portion. Just to remind everyone again, it's 3 minutes. There's a timer there. You can see it. We can see it. So first speaker is Jason Fenley.
Jason Fenley, Bright Waters. I'd like to take a few minutes today and speak about Heartland.
Excuse me, just to remind everyone when you come forward, name and address for the record for the clerk. Thank you.
My address is 30 Iroquois Drive, Bright Waters. I'd like to take a few minutes and talk about Heartland. I want to be clear about this. I'm in favor of this project, and I believe it can be transformative for the town, the county, and the region. However, the Heartland we're going to get is going to be more of anything, is going to be a tax burden, because this board failed to extract adequate concessions from the developer, Jerry Walkoff. Look, there's no doubt this project is going to have massive impacts on all of our public services, our schools, our roads, a host of other public services. That's why, before that zoning change was granted, this board needed to hold Jerry Wolkoff's feet to the fire and get more out of him. And the concessions that were attached to the approval just simply are not enough. In fact, he now has the right to build 3,500 apartments and over 1 million square feet of commercial space, and in exchange, he's going to give us $9 million in infrastructure and $3.7 million to the town for increased cost. $9 million in infrastructure. That is not even going to pave a few roads in Islip. And that, after this project is built out, we're going to need to expand the Sagatos and do additional improvements to the LIE, to Crooked Hill Road, and Comac Road. Not to mention the impact on the Brentwood schools and the fire districts that are going to require additional training and equipment to service this 10-story buildings that your zoning change approved. Now, in 5 or 7 years, when everybody's hair is on fire because of the overcrowding of schools and the traffic, who's going to step up and pay for all this? Is it going to be Jerry Wolkoff? Absolutely not. It's going to be us. It's going to be the people in this room. It's going to be the taxpayers. That's who's going to be. That's who's going to fall on. And let's not forget, the moment you made that zoning change, the value of Jerry Wolkoff's property skyrocketed. He can now take that property, sell it to a different developer, and cash in. It was this board's duty to extract as much of that gain as possible and give it to us as an offset to the impacts to this community. Time and time again, this board has showed a complete ineptitude to manage any project. Take the Bay Shore meters, for example, a complete failure. And now the critical question is this: is this board prepared to manage the development of the largest project in the history of Suffolk County? I think you know my answer to that question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Finley. Mr. Gonzalez, Samuel Gonzalez.
Samuel Gonzalez, 160 Newman Street, Brentwood, New York. I'm here today to address this town's board's recent Heartland vote and ongoing mismanagement of the Roberto Clemente Park. It's been nearly 5 years since you closed the Roberto Clemente Park and then turned blind eye while thousands of tons of toxic waste were dumped in the park during your watch. Now, after years of remediation, you still refuse to take the padlocks off the park and let children in Brentwood and CI play their neighborhood park this summer. It's late July and you still haven't given residents a specific date, though I heard what was just spoken by Commissioner Owen, when families can look forward to using the park. You've promised next year, every year for the last 3 years, and yet the children are still waiting. Meanwhile, you give flimsy excuses for failing to get the job done in a timely manner. The latest example of your inability to manage town projects effectively is your recent vote to hand Jerry Wolkoff the change of zone he needs to build thousands of residential units on the grounds of the old Brigham State Hospital. The Suffolk County Planning Commission gave the green light for this project, but they stipulated conditions for traffic impacts, labor apprenticeship programs, building height, and affordable residentials. You disregarded every one of their conditions. You guys blew it. You gave Wolkoff everything he wanted to the tune of millions of dollars of value added to his property, and you really got nothing for it. Make no mistake, as a labor leader, I favored Heartland as a potential source of jobs for local union employees and badly needed housing. But when you approved is not what I favored. If Wolkoff has the required to use local union labor, as Suffolk Planning Commission had stressed, local working men and women could have looked forward to 30 years of well-paying jobs. Putting people to work right here would have had an enormous economic multiplier effect in Brentwood, Bayshore, and the whole region. It was a no-brainer. Oh yes, I also read where Supervisor Carpenter said negotiating with Wolkoff over local labor was not appropriate, and that it was the role of ISIP Industrial Development Agency. That's bureaucratic double talk. The ISIP Town Board and the ISIP IDA are one and the same. To say you need to switch from your town board hat to your IDA hat to make that deal is absurd. As things stand, you have lost your best leverage, and Wolkoff will do what he's done before, bring in cheap out-of-state labor. You have robbed us of all those jobs. The people of Brentwood deserve better from their town government. The working men and women who live here and work in the construction trades, they deserve better. Like the park, You've managed Heartland badly. Now it will be up to local towns.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Time's up. Next
Thank you.
speaker, Robert Stadelman.
Robert Stottleman, 190 Carlton Avenue, East Islip, Vice President, Exchange Ambulance Corp of the Islips. Good afternoon, Supervisor Carpenter and members of the Islip Town Council. You've heard me speak here several times previously about the state of our present facility on Carlton Avenue in East Islip and the multiple issues with the building, some that, according to an engineer's report, are not economically feasible to repair. The town owns this facility, and Exchange Ambulance Corp of the Islips, a volunteer nonprofit organization, leases it as part of our contract with the town to provide emergency medical services to the communities of East Islip, Islip Terrace, Islip, and Great River. However, what I really want to speak about today is how we've also tremendously outgrown our facility. When our building was designed and constructed in 1990, we answered approximately 1,500 calls a year, responding with 3 ambulances and 2 first response vehicles. Last year in 2016, we responded to 3,043 calls. That is an increase of 103% from 1990. And our call volume continues to increase. For a 1-month comparison, for an example, in June of 2016, we responded to 246 calls. This past June, 2017, we responded to 315 calls, 69 more calls, or a 28% increase. That's 1 month. Year to date, we've answered 171 more calls in 2017 than the same time period in 2016. That's an increase of 10%. One day, Saturday, July 22nd, this past Saturday, 2017, we responded to 25 calls in 1 day. That's more than 1 an hour, folks, all right? With 3 ambulances on the road simultaneously on multiple occasions. We're busy. Based on recent construction in our community, such as the addition of hundreds of apartments between Providence on the Park on Connecticut Avenue and Islip Terrace, the Macy's Estates on Islip Avenue and Islip, Cypress Way Apartments on Sunrise Highway and Islip Terrace, Westbrook Village complex behind the Sunrise Business Center in East Islip, and proposals that are on the table still to construct 100 units of assisted living facilities in East Islip and more apartments in Islip on Spur Drive South. We expect that our call volume will continue to increase at an exponential rate. In addition, the requirements of providing EMS services, as directed by the New York State Department of Health, Bureau of Emergency Medical Services, have continued to increase, adding more skills, more medications, equipment, medication storage requirements, and training to provide the expected standard of care. These are set by the state. We must meet these requirements. They are non-optional. To meet these increasing demands, our fleet has grown from 3 to 5 ambulances, from 2 first response vehicles to 3. The growth of our agency has been tremendous since our current building was constructed to keep up with the increasing call volume and the ever-expanding standard of care and scope of practice of the EMS system. We take our responsibility to provide the absolute best cares to our residents seriously. We're capable of continuing to provide this level of service for many years to come, but we need the support of our town board and the resources required to do so. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Robert. Next speaker, Dana McConnell.
Good afternoon. Thank you for hearing me today. Can you hear me? Good afternoon. Thank you for hearing me today. My concerns today is I'm now...
Your name and address for the record, please.
Oh, Dana McConnell, 133 Moody Avenue, Islip. I've become a member of the Climate Control Lobby, and barring all else, I'm very concerned with if Islip itself has initiated any green policies, renewable energy policies. Southampton and Babylon and some of the other East End towns are going into wind energy, which in not only clean the air, but be cost efficient over time and use. We desperately need to be aware of what we're doing to our climate, how to clean it up, and I was really hoping that Islip has some of those initiatives on the books and really addressing them. They've been talking about the Heartland project, and I was wondering if you went to phase 1, if any of the agreements with the developer includes greenhouse policies to clean the air, solar panels, wind energy, and that's really why I came here today, to hope that everybody has that in mind Otherwise, we're all in big trouble if we don't start small and work our way up, hopefully big, because this would save people and save a lot of money in the long run. That's it, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dana. Janice Howard?
Hi, I'm Janice Howard. I live at 856 Pease Lane, West
Just bring that
Islip.
microphone up so we can hear you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm here to speak about a zombie house at 679 Tanglewood Road. I know it's already on your to-do list to take care of it, secure it, clean it up to some degree, but it's been vacant for years. It's the house next to my childhood home where my parents still live. It's overgrown, it's an eyesore, and it's dangerous. It's literally falling apart. It's crumbling, the back deck has fallen off, there are rodents in the home that we've seen, and I know that I can't ask questions, but I know this will be addressed in time, but I hope that you'll treat it with the time that you would if it was next to your own home or next to your parents' home. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice. Next speaker, Nelsina Day.
Nelsina Day, 27 East Cherry Street, Central Islip, New York. Good afternoon and peace to all of you. I'm glad to hear the updates on Roberto Clemente Park and the hearing that it's going to be open in the future, which I'm hoping that at least the kids will have August and September to play with. In reality, I have been basically going to that park, if not every day, every other day, seeing what's going on. My biggest fear right now is the parking lot. If you're gonna open that park and you're gonna have kids going in there, that parking lot has to be filled, repaved, and resubmitted for work because there are potholes in there. And I can take the pictures of it. So that needs to be addressed. And, you know, I know you put that seedling in there and everything, but where's the sprinkler system to help the soil grow? Now, to get away from Roberto Clemente, I want to present to you an illegal dumping area. It's called the East Elm Street Sump. We caught pictures of behind the Moo Moo Daycare Center of a white pickup truck with Frontier license plates, G as in George, S as in Sam, R as in Roger, 2015, New York State, dumping debris over into that sump. That's supposed to be a $2,500 fine. And I'm reporting it to you, and we have requested over and over again that someone go out there and look at that sump, at the stuff that is being dumped there, the smell that comes out of there when it's really hot. That's all we're asking. There's another daycare right there at East Elm Street. The lady has been there for over 30 years. And she keeps her place clean. But the kids can't go outside if you got this horrible smell. I hope and pray that this town board will stand up and have the faith to really tell us when the park is going to be open, what is going to be accessible to us, and when the sprinkler system is going to go in to help the grass grow. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Greg Pepe. Again, I said no, I'm not giving her any
Greg Pepe,
credibility.
127 St. Mark's, Islip. I'm here today to discuss the Heartland Square Development Phase 1, Section DU1A. According to what the county and also our own planning board suggested, or actually was to restrict the building heights to 5 stories. Now, where is the impact study to show what this would curtail when you voted to increase these heights to 10 stories, making them now reclassified as high-rise projects or buildings? similar to that we see in New York City. Another thing was that Mr. Flyman had asked Commissioner Myers about how this looks as far as the buildings that exist there presently at Pilgrim State. Well, the buildings that are there, and they are buildings 81, 82, and 83, are at an 8-story height, okay? The original hospital, which was built back in 1929 to 1933, is at 9. So if you count the upper portion of that original hospital, there's some enclosures for the stairways and but non-usable areas up there. Now, if you look at comparison, even the federal building, court building, is at 12. This is ludicrous to build such big structures on this island to resemble the city, where we actually moved out to rural Long Island to end up with a suburban type lifestyle. Who's going to pay for all the infrastructure to the roads, electrical grid, gas grid, sewage? Okay, Jerry's not going to do all that. And besides, it was $25 million for all 3 phases. So it's $8.33 million per phase. Let's get the story straight. As far as the development being scaled down, it wasn't scaled down. It's being done in phases, okay? So it's still the 452 acres, but now we're going to do these in phases, 1, 2, and 3, totaling the 452, 30 years down the road. So you sold us out, and furthermore, if anybody is to stop this and wants to get in touch with the supervisor from Huntington, Mr. Petrone, you can email him at fpetrone@huntingtonnewyork.gov. I know there's a lot of people in opposition. He would love to hear from you. And thank you also to Susan Berling, Councilwoman, Town of Huntington, for her stance in opposition to this. Thank you.
Robert Burnett.
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Burnett. I live at 122 South Clinton Avenue in Bayshore. For those of you who may not know, it's the main road down to the marina. The reason I'm here today is across the street from where I live, there are 5 houses that were rental houses prior to Hurricane Sandy and were always fully occupied. They have been vacant since the day of the hurricane and never touched. Therefore, come October, there'll be 5 years worth of black mold growing inside of those houses. About a year and a half ago, I guess the town finally made the owner board them up with boarding with it. But prior to that, the kids were breaking into the houses. People were living in the garages behind there. I've asked and I've spoken to pretty much every department in the town. I spoke with the fire chief, fire commissioner, and the attorney's office and public safety and everything. They pretty much told me there's not a lot that can be done to try and get these because they're apparently privately owned. But they're a hazard. The black mold, if it starts coming out, I mean, I'm an old guy now, so it doesn't affect me as much. There are a lot of children in the area. This could be a health hazard for them. Plus, my 2 sons are getting married, and they will have children. And these houses obviously are not going to be repaired. They're beyond the point of repair now with all that black mold. So I'm requesting that they be taken down and the properties cleaned up. I realize it's not a simple thing and it's not a process that can be handled overnight, but something has to be done. The area where we live was always a nice neighborhood prior to the hurricane. Now there's all kinds of homeless people, there's increased crime. My next door neighbor who rents his house has had his garage broken into twice, and they've stolen numerous things. As a matter of fact, he said now since when his lease is up, he's moving out of the neighborhood. There's a woman at the very end who's trying to sell her house, and as soon as people pull up and see all these boarded up houses, they get back in their car and drive away. So something has to be done because it's not only a hazard, but it's also affecting the integrity of the town. And since Clinton Avenue is the main street leading down to the marina, where you have the children's water park and of course all the boating, it's an eyesore for the town as well as the neighborhood. So I don't know, I'm if there's anything that we can do as neighbors to appeal to the board or to whoever else to get these houses taken down, I'm open to any suggestions. But I thank you for listening, and hopefully we can get something done.
Mr. Bernard, thank you very much for coming down, and I'm not sure what the status of it is as far as when they were checked lately, as far as whether or not they're hazards and should be taken down, but I would ask if you would, Commissioner D'Amico is there, if you would just give him those addresses again, and we'll get out there and check again, and hopefully we'll be able to do something a little bit more productive towards...
Yeah, I
making it a
believe the
little
fire
better.
commissioner was out there about a month or two ago. But he explained everything to me before he went out there. I realize you can't just walk in and take down 5 houses, but something has to be done at any rate. But
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next speaker, Eric Alexander.
Okay. My name is Eric Alexander, Director of Vision Long Island. Thank you, Supervisor, members of the town board. I just want to start by saying, oh sure, 24 Woodbine Avenue, Northport. Not Islip resident. I'd like to praise the supervisor and members of the town board for approving Heartland Town Square. And the planning staff that did tremendous work, Ron Meyer, Michelle
Mr.
Basson.
Alexander, if you could please just into the microphone.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Sometimes I'm too loud, this time not enough. Okay, so the planning staff, Ron Meyer, Michelle Basson, past planning staff, Rich Sapolsky, Dave Genoway, Gene Murphy, planning board chair, Joe DeVincent, and many others through the years have put together the most thoroughly planned, reviewed, analyzed project in my 20 years at looking at projects across Long Island, Division Long Island, in my 30 years of work looking on planning and redevelopment issues on Long Island. Terry Elkowitz brought in a hand truck of documents at one of the most recent hearings, and I know there's a room here in your planning department with Heartland documents probably solely. The compromise you came up with allows for the most economically viable elements of a true town center to emerge while monitoring and regulating the impacts of the project. We do know there will be a minimal school district impact. Projects on a smaller scale across Long Island have 3 kids per 100 units of housing. And there's an opportunity now that this project's approved to pull in state and federal dollars to advance infrastructure, particularly widening the Saginaw Coast, and we should get our fair share of state and federal dollars. It shouldn't be borne by the town or by the developer to do some of these infrastructure improvements. Having said that, we're also it's great to see support from the Brentwood community at the many public hearings through the years. Civic Leader Marcos Montalbano couldn't be here today. He asked that I express a thank you to the board on his behalf. 40 downtowns across Long Island are approving projects to redevelop their main streets. We've heard from Brentwood residents that they want the same opportunity as these other communities. Now, I'm going to say this. I saw this Newsday article, which was a little strange, about the Suffolk Planning Commission comments. I'm confused as the Planning Commission chair acted as if the entire project was approved. It wasn't. It was dramatically scaled back. 25% of the proposed commercial, 35% of the proposed residential, a cut to the height of the buildings. There was a shift in affordable housing, but you've got a deeper affordability standard. Traffic impacts are reduced, and the second phase will not move forward until phase 1 is complete. Now, the issue of apprenticeship and local jobs is key. I hope you address that at the IDA. There should be local jobs, there should be prevailing wages. We do want to see that. Having said that, Suffolk County Planning Commission, we don't want to see, they had their role, they weighed in, everyone went to those hearings. You don't want to see a regional sideshow. And you also don't want a regional planning sideshow. You don't want to see something like this overturned. So land use control should be maintained by the town of Islip, and any municipality in Long Island needs to keep their land use control intact. I've met very few people in 30 years of working in these areas that want to see regional zoning control. Again, kudos to you for a fair review, and the decision's a wise one.
Thank you. Pete Quinn.
Good afternoon, members of the Board of the Town of Islip and Madam Supervisor. My name is Peter Quinn. I live at 675 Tanglewood Road, West Islip. I'm here to speak about a property next door, a zombie property at 679. It's in decrepit condition. It's not a property that needs simply, as some on the board may choose to want to do, is simply clean it up a little bit and put a padlock on it, because that's only an invitation to people who want to do even less for the property than currently is being done. As far as, I went to the assessor's office, maybe 8-9 months ago, and asked them, since there are banks that own the property, what is their obligation? And I was told nothing more than simply mowing the lawn. And I thought, for banks owning a property to do nothing more than mow the lawn, that's inappropriate. My friends with whom I've spoken and neighbors with whom I've spoken in my neighborhood contend that the property should be torn down and put up for auction. And that auction should have a designated certain period of time to take place. I would urge that you do something probably that you don't do very often with banks. Demand that they do more than mow the lawn. Demand that the property be put up for auction with a time designation so that my neighborhood knows when it's likely to be torn down and sold at auction. And I would urge that you not wait for a couple of years, as we've already waited and watched the property diminish, but say October 1st, and require the banks, mandate the banks to respond and take action. We want to see our neighborhood the equivalent of all the other neighbors in our neighborhood who take care of their property, maintain them, and don't let them become fallow properties. We urge the board to reconsider what it plans to do, which I understand is clean up the property a little bit and put a padlock on the door, and that's not the appropriate action we seek. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Quinn. Barbara Curek? Barbara Curek, 65 Woodland Drive, East Islip, New York. First, I want to thank the members of the board. Can you hear me? Okay. First, I want to thank the members of the board for everything you've done to get the current TNR program up and running. It was just a little over a year ago that I stood here for the very first time and told you about Joan Phillips and Animal Lovers League, and the rest is history, so I was really happy about that. Today, I'm here to speak about a new shelter. I'm going out on a limb and assuming that all the board members understand the need for a new shelter, okay? I personally think the new shelter is long overdue. I read somewhere that this one was built in 1964. I don't know if that's true, but I think that a new shelter is going to have to last for another 50 years. So I'm hoping that we can build one with the future needs in mind. Please don't be pound wise and penny foolish. As a homeowner in East Islip for 47 years, my husband and I have made endless mistakes going for a cheap estimate instead of a right estimate, and it ends up costing more and more money. That said, I do understand that you guys have to work within the confines of a budget and taxpayer money and all that. So all I'm asking today is that I'm here to urge you to get a new shelter proposal that has some cost-saving measures and would be acceptable to all the board members. I'm very anxious to get the ball rolling on a new shelter. Now,
I have run into Commissioner Heil at several of the Town of Islip clinics, but I have yet to run into any board members. Have any of you been to any of the town TNR clinics yet? You did? Okay. I was at the 3 at Dr. Berger's and 1 at the shelter. The only reason I even bring that up, I would encourage you to attend one of these clinics because so many of the volunteers there are fantastic and work really hard. But I think that if you came, you would see the conditions of the, have you been in the spay-neuter trailer? Any of you? In the trailer? Yeah. Have you been in the trailer? Oh, have you? Okay. So imagine, at the clinic I was at, we did 30 cats that day. You can imagine how difficult this one vet stood and did 30 cats. But the reason I even mention is we do a lot of other things at the clinic. We have to clip their ears. We take care of their fleas. We clean their ears. We clean their, we do so many things at different stations. So if you've been in that trailer, you understand how crowded it is. So I'm really hopeful that we can just get a new cost-saving proposal for a new shelter and get the ball rolling. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Richard O'Kane.
My name is Richard O'Kane. My office is 300 Motor Parkway, Hop Park, New York, 11788. I'm here to express my frustration with the Heartland project and the apprenticeship language being removed from it. I don't get it. Isletown is surrounded by towns that have the apprenticeship language as a requirement for their building endeavors, and that would be right around here: Babylon, Long Beach, Brookhaven, Oyster Bay, Hempstead, North Hempstead. You know, when you're doing building and things like that, things happen. And just for the record, in New York City and Long Island, in the last 2 years, there was 30 fatalities. 85% of those fatalities were with people from out of town, unskilled, and any other thing you think of. Sleeping in cars, just out there for a walk. You come up from every state in the country that you can imagine, including countries like Quebec, Canada. So, cheap is expensive, and you get what you pay for. I represent 59 highly skilled people that are apprentice trained, all 59,000 of them, and they go out and bring jobs on time and under budget. And once you get what you pay for. Jerry Walkoff is getting a considerable deal as we speak. I am for that project that they use. What am I going to do with 59,000 people who are not working? If he doesn't employ our people, instead of out-of-town people, on that job. We need jobs. They don't work every day, and they get the job done on time and under budget. We did the Long Beach project that was 2 years long, on time and under budget. We did a 10-year project for Brookhaven Land. That was on time and under budget, and the government actually congratulated us. So when you bring Jerry brings in these people or anybody else that comes to town and builds these projects, it's a little it's troublesome. Plus, to live in Islip and to live in New York and Long Island is expensive to live. So there's statistics out there. We don't work every day because of weather conditions, the economy. But 44 million of these people have to work 2 jobs. My people, if they have a job to go to, they don't have to work 2 jobs. That means they have time for families and everything else. So 62% of people that come here from out of town, and different people from all across the country, if they had a car problem and it was $500, they don't have the money to pay for a repair. So the point is, builder friends, they pay high-paying jobs, and then get things done, and you can have a decent standard of living. You don't have to go to North Carolina, South Carolina to try to hook up and get someplace where you can get a job, and then they have to be away from your families. It's time. Not everybody's going to be an IT person or a doctor. We need these people. These people moving out of Long Island at the rate of 30%. We need to keep our people here. I would really like to make a request that the board make an appointment. We can make an appointment to discuss apprenticeship language in your town project.
Thank you, Dick.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dick. Nancy Manfredonia. Nancy Manfredonia. Roderick Anderson.
Roderick Anderson, Barry Marin, or Machen, I'm sorry.
Good afternoon. Barry Machen. I reside at 10 Birch Street, Central Islip, New York. I'm here as a resident of Central Islip for the better part of 58 years. The last 35 have raised my family here. I recently retired as a teacher in the Central Islip School District. My problem is personal, but also a community problem. In May, a squatter took residence in an abandoned home adjacent to my property. A squatter who was known in the community and by the police. A squatter who was suspected of creating an atmosphere of prostitution and drugs, and of creating a flop house for individuals who are attracted by these activities. Since May 16th, we have reached out to the town fire marshal on 9 different occasions. The most recent was yesterday, informing the office that the man in this house has begun removing the boards from the windows again. The house has been boarded and reboarded at least 5 times already. The police have been called to no avail. The man has been removed or chased from the property several times now, only to return within hours of his removal. He continually removes boards from the windows, has placed his own personal lock on the door to gain entrance and keep others out, puts his garbage out as if he's the home's owner. All this while residing in a home that has been clearly designated with signs by the fire marshal to stay out of the house and off the property. The man resides here illegally. He has no justifiable rights to this property. An assistant fire chief in Central Islip told me the same person has been removed from at least 5 other homes in the past for the same reasons I'm giving you. A neighbor witnessed an act of prostitution in this home's backyard late one night. We have grandchildren we take care of in our home. Neighbors next to me and across the street and in back of this home also have grandchildren or children of their own. The street is traveled by small children on their way to school and back home again, passing this home each day. A disabled woman has expressed fear living here. This has always been a quiet and peaceful neighborhood until now. People enter and leave this house at all hours of the day and night. When the police are called, he is whisked away as if he knows they were coming. We shouldn't have to live under these stressful conditions anymore. So I have 2 questions. Number 1, why is he allowed to remain here illegally under these conditions? I've also been told that the situation was in the process of being resolved. So my second question is this: how long do I have to wait for his removal from the property? I've come to you, our elected officials, to take action now. Take action that will remove him from this property immediately and will not allow him to cause disruption to our quiet neighborhood or anyone else's neighborhood ever again. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
And thank you, Barry, and perhaps the commissioner can give you that status right over there. Thank you. Teresa Moyd.
Teresa Moy, 32 Tudor Lane, Bayshore, New York. And I'm come to, again, address issue for property that is owned by the town of Islip. It's the tax map number 0500-290-3-40.4. This is vacant property behind my home. I've been coming to the town since 2000 in complaint of the property and its trees and the dumping that comes between that property and I believe it's 3rd Street. I've come to every department since 2000. I have brought pictures. I have talked to the highway, I've talked to the constituents, I've talked to 2 supervisors before you, Ms. Carpenter, who I worked with 20 years ago actually, with the Long Island Partnership and the Long Island Housing Services when I was there. So I would hope that in following you and being a constituent that had been voting for you as you came to your plight of where you are now, that there would be some consideration. I have brought pictures, as I said, and in complaint about the property. The trees have grown so much that now they are literally touching the ground. And I've been told by the departments that I can cut the limbs myself or have them cut. And I said that now that I am a senior, I cannot afford to be cutting the town's trees and cutting back the shrubbery that has gone through my property. This gentleman here came in 2008 with the town council. A van load of people came, looked at the property, mowed over and said that, oh, well, don't put up a fence so that we can then come in, remove our fence and maybe cut the trees back. I have not seen the council come since, but I have come since to the department continuously, begging and asking, and when I come to the point that the young ladies in the office says, oh yeah, you're Miss Ward, you're 32, we still have your pictures. So today I brought more pictures again to show you the plight. I think the last time someone came and cut a few limbs was, I think that was in 2013. I also have pictures to show that before it's overgrown, that literally the trees, they are now rotting, and when they fall, they've now created little puddles and rivers, which now have consisted of mosquito infestation. So my grandchildren can't come and even be in the backyard because it's so bad. So I'm going to bring some more pictures to leave with you to see the condition.
Teresa, thank you for coming down, and I'd ask Commissioner Owens to please
Thanks.
get that information, those pictures, and I promise you we will be addressing this.
Thank you.
Karen McNulty?
Good afternoon. My name is Karen McNulty, and I live at 75 Maple Avenue in Bay Shore. I'm here to address some of the parking, traffic, and safety on the block. Our street is a constant traffic debacle. Traffic comes down really quick. Taxi cabs come down with no regard to people on the block. People are parking all over the street, staying longer than 2 hours. Public safety comes down, they come around, but I've called in, and I feel like we need someone stationed on the block, because when I call in, public safety says to please call when the problem is happening. And when the problem's happening, they'll get there by the time the problem's finished. So if someone could be stationed on the block, it would probably be helpful to see all the traffic and all the safety issues. David's Taxi parks the wrong way on the block. I know you guys are putting in that Bayway corridor. You guys are looking at bike lanes. I don't know how that's going to work with the traffic that's parked on both sides of the block. I live at the very end, and it really is a crazy place right now, and somebody needs to be stationed down there watching all of what's going on. I don't know if you could do a traffic safety study or a study down there, but it's quite crazy. And I just moved back there after being out of my house for 4 years, so I live at the very end of the block. So where Aldrich Avenue is, Aldrich Court, coming out of the ferry terminal and pulling into that terminal, David's Taxi was parked on the wrong side of the street the other day in a no parking zone and almost caused an accident. And he was unloading his bus, but the driver wasn't in the bus. He was in the ferry terminal going to get people because he couldn't get into the terminal. So it's just a real hazard down there. And people are coming down the block like 3 lanes at a time, and we who live in our house can't even head north because people are coming down south. So when you pull out of your driveway, people are honking their horns at you, cursing at you. It's ridiculous. And then there's a big debacle in the middle because between the two ferry terminals, there's always a ton of traffic trying to get to and from the Salt Air Terminal or back down the street, and it's quite crazy. So I'm just here to throw that out there, but I think like if somebody could be stationed there to see all the traffic at all the times, you could see what's going on. And you can see the taxis, and you can see the trucks that are parked on both sides of the road unloading. The Budweiser truck unloaded on my lawn the other day. All the kegs, all their beer, because they couldn't get into the lot across the street from where I live. So I've called the police. The police officer that came was very kind. He sat there for about a half an hour to watch the traffic, maybe longer. Public safety isn't really down the street. It would be helpful if they were even sitting maybe and watching. It would be great for them to do that, but they're there. They're just not, they're down more at the meters and at the traffic meters watching what's going on as opposed to the traffic that's coming up and down the street. You know, the schedules in the Long Island Railroad and the taxis are crazy getting down the street, but they need to really do something on that, on the block.
Thank you very much, Karen. Public safety is here, and we will see what they can do about increasing enforcement. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Ronald Thomas? Ronald Thomas? Thomas Santorelli?
Thomas Santorelli, 102 North Park Avenue in Bay Shore. I heard you say a couple of weeks ago that you intended on putting irrigation over at the Bay Shore train station.
Correct.
I've got some pictures of it.
Pardon me?
I have some photos of it.
Okay,
I'd like
if you
to
want
show,
to
I'd like to
hand
see.
it in, the gentleman will take it. Thank you.
And I'm wondering if you ever took a walk around the Bay Shore train station to see all the problems there, the concrete. I'm sure you know all about this. I'm wondering why you would put sprinklers put in by people that obviously aren't qualified, and within a week's time, you'll see having this water shoot up into the sky and flooding Union Boulevard. So I question your confidence. Last month I was here, I couldn't get your commissioner to put water in a street sweeper. Seem to have a problem, there's a theme with you with water. I don't get water. Maybe the truck should line up there, Union Boulevard, and they can fill up the trucks as they sit there. What do you think?
Car ran over the sprinklers. We don't install them that way. That's actually how a car ran over the
So now you have an answer. Isn't that great?
Yeah, well,
Good.
you ought to see the rest of it. You're watering sand and weeds. This is what I'm asking you. Have you actually observed anything there? Who would put in sprinklers in the middle of the summer to water sand and weeds, and you got a stream already?
The next step is not to...
Okay.
The next
Let
step
him
is what?
finish, Tom, and then you can come forward because...
What?
Are you done?
What are you saying?
No, I am asking the commissioner to come up and address your concerns when you're finished speaking. His name is Tom, too, so I might have
I know, I
confused
spoke
you.
to him last month.
Okay, good.
And he didn't do anything, despite the focus. You know, I could teach a monkey how to put water in a
I'm sure you can. Thank you.
I might be able to teach one to do your job, too.
Thank you. You're so respectful. Mr. Owens, if you could just give everyone an update of the project at the Bay Shore train station. Again, this is an entire project. Doesn't happen overnight. Just the way the status of it didn't happen overnight. It is on the radar. We are addressing it. And if you could.
Sure. Number one, I want to thank the resident for bringing this to our attention. Over the weekend, someone hit the sprinkler, lost control of the vehicle. That sprinkler head was fixed early that morning. The next step is we're going to topsoil and seed and do landscaping once the fall comes. And as far as the street sweepers, we make sure that, obviously, none of us, we want to make sure that there's water in all of our sweepers, and that's been addressed. Thank you.
No, it hasn't.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next speaker, Anthony Lees.
You haven't been down my street with water.
Anthony Lees.
Bullshit. Sir.
Excuse me. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. No,
You're not allowed to person because First Amendment. First Amendment.
Ms. Delis?
Get your hands up. Nobody puts their hands up. You get how it goes?
So we're asking you, sir, to step outside.
No hands. Got it?
Good afternoon, Anthony Lees, 182.
Before you begin, just want to remind everyone, certainly not directed to you, but we just ask that you be respectful. Everyone, has something they want to say when they come forward, and more times than not, it's a situation that they're not happy about, they're passionate about it, and we can appreciate and understand that, and we're really, really here to help you. We really, really want to do the right thing. And we just ask that you be respectful, but we are going to caution everyone that if there are outbursts and if there is profanity, as there was at our last meeting, that the speaker will be asked to leave. So, with that, Anthony, thanks for coming down.
No problem. Thanks for having me. Anthony Lees, 182 West Main Street, Bayshore, New York. I just wanted to speak in regards to the Live by the Bay street festivals in Bayshore. I just wanted to suggest that they be approved for the 2 August dates. I'm speaking on behalf of the restaurant owner and my fellow restaurant owners. We think the event went very well for us. We saw a nice spike in business, and the families and the community seem to have a good outlook on it as well. We're still seeing some business pouring from people that were out of town, came to us and said that it was a great event and they would like to see more going forward. And I just wanted to keep it short and sweet and just recommend that it gets approved for going forward.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, we do understand it was very successful. It is on the agenda later. I would guess the only downside is all that increased traffic on Maple for Mrs. McNulty. Next speaker, Warren Orville.
Shocked you don't know that. Stop me there. My mother, Sylvia O'Valley.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's been a long time, and I've grown up. My name is Warren O'Valley, 15 East Locust Street, Central Islip. Couple of issues. One is mainly 8 Birch Street. It's the squatter. It's more than just a concern.
Warren, if you could, that address was?
15 East Locust Street, from my residence.
No, that's yours, but the...
8 Birch Street.
Which is the other house that was addressed earlier?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So with the squatter itself, you can't leave them in there. Crime is at all high, as you know. Central Islip has dealt with enough. And when somebody's in the house dealing drugs, prostitution, etc., you don't know if there's gang activity there going on. We don't know for sure, but what we do know is he has evaded the police every chance he's got. Fire marshal comes in, looks at the door, sees a lock, keeps it moving. Cut off the lock, put a new lock, put nails in there, board it up properly. That's all you really have to do. Something strong, so that there's no more squatters. There's squatters everywhere. It's not just 8 Birch Street. It's all over the town. We need to figure out how to resolve these issues. That's one. The other thing is with park security, when it comes to Brentwood, when they open up the park, I hope there really is park security on an everyday basis. Not just, hey, once in a blue moon, we just have it, because that would be a shame. Because what happened in Central Islip, I live right up the block from that. It was a tragedy.
Absolutely.
And there's no park security. But after the incident, there's police all the time now. It's a shame. It's a shame. We pay people for reasons, to protect, serve, help, just like the elected officials. Protect, serve, and help. That's what everything comes down to. So that's really all I want to say to you. It's a long time seeing you, but but if you have any questions, my mother's organization, Central Islip Community Patrol, will help and reach out and always help you, Mrs. Carpenter.
Thank you very much for coming down. Patricia Robinson.
Patricia Robinson, 123 Maple Avenue, Bayshore. I'm calling in reference, I'm actually here in reference to let you know the impact of the closure on Main Street for Live by the Bay for my particular restaurant. So I took a sampling of the past 4 years in July for Wednesdays, and the week prior and the week after. And there was a 26% loss of revenue for us for that particular evening, just for the evening. During the day, we were not impacted at all, but for the evening when the street, even with Maple Avenue open, we had a 26% loss of business. Now, far be it from me to interfere with fun and everything. However, if I can make a suggestion, maybe do it during the spring. May's beautiful weather, September, beautiful weather. It would negatively impact my business, but not to the degree that it does when you do in July and August. So there's my little suggestion for you guys and my response on the impact. All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Andy Cross.
My name's Andy Cross. I live at 114 Brentwood Street in Bayshore. And I'm hoping to get at least maybe the town highway superintendent up here to rebut what I gotta say, like this guy just did. I mean, once again, I'm here about the New York real property tax law on my bill and the 51% increase in highway taxes on my tax bill. A couple of years ago, the real property tax law went up 41% in 1 year, and there was nobody responsible. Now the highway tax goes up 51% in 1 year, and no one is responsible, proving that this town board is full of tax and spend politicians who care nothing about the people who elected them. Last week you approved the Heartland project with no feedback allowed from the constituents. And do we need to go back to the town board meeting, to 2 town board meetings a month, so we don't have any of these issues, like nobody can say anything? Why should the people of the Brentwood School District have to pay for the at least 10,000 new students that are going to come to the school in this project, in the Heartland project? It don't make sense. First of all, you give the guy a tax break. Before he even puts a shovel in the ground, he gets a tax break. So how does that work out? Now he has a tax break, and now we have all these students coming in, and the people of Brentwood have to wind up paying for it. So the people of Brentwood are actually going to be paying for his students to go to their school. It's not fair. And not only that, but now we have the fire department has to get new fire trucks to reach the height of the how many stories it is, I don't even know. So is this decision about Heartland, is it bad or worse than the town giving the Green Acres Mall tax breaks that were forced on the homeowners at approximately $1,000 extra a month? A year, I mean. Why should, once again, the residents of the Brentwood School District have to pay for these new students and the project to get tax rebates, putting more of a burden on Brentwood residents, not only to pay for the new students, but to have the project pay for its fair share of taxes, which it's not going to do. The Heartland Industrial Project receives tax rebates on nearly every building in the industrial project to make jobs. Why is the Heartland project getting rebates to build apartment houses? Done.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. Next speaker, Jessica Jones.
Sorry, I'm super nervous. Okay. My name is Jessica Jones. I live at 36 Lukens Avenue in Brentwood. Born and raised in Brentwood. Grew up here. Grew up going to, well, it was called just Timberline when I was going, but Jose Clemente Park. This is my brother, Andrew Jones. I'm actually here to talk about the property at 500 Suffolk Avenue in Brentwood. We know it as The Spot. It's a community of skaters that turned pretty much an empty lot into a productive place to hang out. We don't have a park that we can go to. We don't have a pool we can go to anymore. So this is what they've done. My mom used to drive my brother all over Long Island to find skate parks for him to skate. He's always loved to skate since he was a kid. And when I got a license, that was became my job as well, driving him around so he could skate wherever he could find a place. And we recently received a notice that it's a nuisance. And I just wanted to pitch, I guess, the idea of possibly turning it into an official area for the kids of the town of Islip to go and to skate. I'm not going to pretend like I know how these things work. This is my first time. I know money's always an issue. But we are willing to fundraise and pitch in as we can, because that is the community of kids that, these are not kids that are asking for much. We are willing to pull our own weight and help. This is my godson, Malachi. He's about 8 years old. He learned to skate in that park. This is him now, a little older, competing in Philadelphia, Philly Cup. 3rd place he got, and he's still going. He's got lots more competitions this summer, and he wouldn't be in the place where he's able to travel and see other places besides just Long Island if it wasn't for, you know, the older kids teaching him how to skate and skating with him. And it's really a peaceful thing. It's not intentionally trying to be a nuisance. It would bring money into the town. I know that there are ways, there are communities on Long Island that have these skate parks that are run by, you know, their individual towns and stuff, and it would bring people into the town and shine a light on our town that has been for so long nationwide known so negatively. Brentwood has had such a negative name, and I think a big reason for that is that the kids have nothing to do. We have absolutely nothing to do. So this skate park, this nuisance, has been something productive for these kids to do, and I just ask that you please help us to further that. We don't want to be a nuisance. We want to be productive members of the community, and we want to make these kids have something to do, somewhere to go.
Thank you very much, Jessica, for bringing the issue forward. It is something that the Parks Department has been considering. I don't know about this particular parcel, who the owner is or anything, but we certainly will be looking into it. Thank you. Travis Parker.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Travis Parker. I live at 1459 Lincoln Boulevard in Bay Shore, New York. I'm actually piggybacking on what Jessica Jones was just talking about. I'm one of the local skaters that skate there. I've been skating there since about 2004. There was mulch there. The town came in and cleaned it up, and we built a little bit more. We didn't have really anything. We would skate at the local supermarkets in front of people's storefronts, and we were a nuisance. I know we were a nuisance, but once we occupied that location, we saw it as, okay, now we're not messing with anyone. Now we're not in front of your storefront destroying your property. We're all by ourselves, secluded into this one small location where we can just skate and relieve our stress. And now actually mentor the younger crowd that's coming out of high school and coming into high school and show them that, hey, you know what, the gang activity that's going on in the community is really tearing us apart. Now I'm getting calls and text messages from most of the kids now saying, where do we go? What do we do? And I'm like, I don't know. And I'm trying to give them something that they can look at and say, hey, we can skate here and it will be no problem. It's very, very difficult. It's been very hard on me. I'm gonna be 30 years old this year. I have 2 kids, and I bring my kids there. And they look at me as like, hey, you know, he's doing something, he's trying something. I'm trying whatever I can. I can do whatever I can to help someone. I'm always looking to help someone. And we're always looking to help one another who's coming out of school. We don't know what the type of lifestyle that they may live, but we're trying to help them look forward into getting a better job. It took for her younger brother to pass away for the younger crowd to really start listening to us and saying, hey, you know what, it's really hard out there. If you just listen to what we're saying and just try and do right by your parents, just stay out of trouble, get good grades in school, you'll end up prospering further on in life. That's pretty much all I have to say. I just really want to help the community and try and get us to where we can have some place that we can skate. That's just really it. I'm just so overwhelmed with what's going on. I actually personally know Jerry Walkoff. I don't know if he has anything to do with this, but I know him from my security surveillance company that I work for. We installed the security cameras at his house and everything like that. So we were occupied at one of his Heartland places. So thank you.
Thank you, Travis. This particular site actually is owned by Suffolk County, the old Liberty Plating, from what I understand. So I'm not sure who issued whatever was issued, but it doesn't sound like it was the town's, but we are going to look into it. Eric Helling?
Hi, I'm Eric Helling. I live at 1197 Brookdale, and I work at Southside in downtown Bayshore. And thank you for the opportunity to speak up, please. Oh, sure. Is this better? Yeah. So I live at 1197 Brookdale, and I work at Southside in Bayshore. And I just wanted to take a minute to speak about the Alive by the Bay. It was a great event, super successful. I just heard somebody mention that their sales were a little bit down that day, and I would, hate for any business. I'm being a manager at one now, hate to hurt any other business, but I suspect there are at least a dozen other businesses that their sales were double or triple at least what they normally would be on any given Wednesday. So I know you're considering the April 9th and 23rd events, and I just wanted to add my voice to those that hope you'll approve it. And thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, Denise. Ron Thomas. Oh, this is on 679 Tanglewood. I think they may have all left. Mylan Augulis.
Hi, I'm Mylan Augulis, 620 Bohemia Parkway, Sable resident and the Connecticut Board of Education trustee. I'm here on behalf of the thousands of people in my community that are opposing the project at Island Hills. On March 8, 2017, Regular Equity Partners filed an application with the town of Islip to change the zoning to the former Island Hills Golf Course from a AAA residential to a PDD, Planned Development District. The present zoning for the parcel allows for single-family homes to be built on the 40,000 square foot lots. This could equate to 84 new apartments. If granted this title and zoning, the developer will build 1,365 rental apartments in 27 buildings, most of at heights at 3 to 4 stories. The zoning change must be opposed to the following reasons. The addition of these apartments is not consistent with the established neighborhood of 1 and 2 story single-family homes. The integrity of the neighborhood will be compromised. The plan is designed with only 1.75 parking spots per apartment. As a result, overflow parking from renters and visitors will occur on residential streets where children play. 2,000 to 3,000 cars will flood the surrounding residential main roads. The Connecticut School District will be burdened by the increase in population. The golf course consistently used chemicals on the property for several decades. Environmental issues may arise due to the disruption of the soil during construction. The apartment complex may burden the electrical and sewage systems. Renters will not have a long-term stake in our community. Property values will decline. We have a vested interest and history in our community and an expectation of support from our elected town officials. You mentioned earlier that you were going to help us. That's why you're sitting here, to help us. So I am hoping that you'll help the Cityville community, the Bohemia community, oppose this construction of apartment buildings that will definitely greatly impact our area, but for the worse, not the best.
Thank you. Next speaker, John Urquhart.
Can you hear me in the back?
Yes.
Thank you. Don Urquhart, 175 Colony Drive. I will address the cameras since members of this body still don't have the grace to put down their devices and at least pay attention or make believe they're paying
Excuse me, sir.
to those.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
I'm looking here.
Okay.
Everyone
This
is
would be a
listening
first.
to you,
This
and
would
it
be
is
a
not a
first.
first.
This would be a
It is
first,
not a
and I'm
first. We're
grateful.
here
I'm-
listening to
I'm
you.
grateful.
Go ahead. Thank you.
I'm grateful. Thank you. I live across the street from the industrial parcels on Furrows Road. It's the site of unlawful land clearing, sand mining, dumping of construction and demolition debris as much as 30 feet deep, dumping of suspicious materials more than 70 feet high, much of it by trucks that have no markings. And in spite of the lessons that we learned from Roberto Clemente about the health hazards of construction and demolition debris, still the conditions of those parcels across the street from us remain unchanged. We continue to breathe whatever it is that are on those piles, and we have bad health conditions. We have people with one of our neighbors who's a doctor believes is a pattern of contaminant-caused illness. So I want to talk more about public policy. Public policy requires the balancing of competing interests. That's what we call common interest. Now, this region is desperately in need of transformation to offer the 18 to 34-year-old cohort a future. And the Heartland Project, as proposed by the Suffolk County Planning Commission, was a positive step in that direction. And the experts placed considered conditions to ensure phased, mid-rise development to mitigate the regional impact of squeezing a community the size of Levittown into an area 1/6 its size. But this body substituted the advice of regional planners with their own wisdom and authorized a doubling of the height of the structures. Now, they passed on a responsible development and green-lighted an orgy of development that will adversely impact this region for decades. Levittown's population density is somewhere around 7,500 per square mile. With the change that this body approved, Heartlands could well be between 20 and 60,000 per square mile. The benefit of that kind of density to this region? None. The potential benefit for Mr. Wolkoff? As much as 1.9 million more saleable square feet. And that would likely yield an additional hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, why would that be done? So just rough numbers. More than $8,600, or at least that much, Mr. Wolkoff has contributed to the campaigns of those who sit before me. $106,000 he contributed to the Suffolk Democratic Committee. $30,000 or $20,000, $30,000 to the Suffolk County Chairman's Club. And the numbers go on and on, to somewhere around $400,000, including the presiding officer of the legislature and the townships. I just say to the public, accountability is what matters, and when the elections come up, please hold your elected representatives accountable. Thank you.
That is it for the speakers. Motion to close the public portion. Motion by Councilman Bergen, second by Councilman Flatteren. Public portion is closed. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We now go to the agenda. First item on the agenda today is the appropriation transfers. Are any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Councilman Bergen, second by Councilman Flatteren. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. Second is the authorization for supervisor to accept the donation of influenza vaccines from Southside Hospital for the 2017 Senior Health Fair. That is at the Senior Center in Brentwood, actually, Cesar Trunzo. Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Bergen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Is approved. Item number 3, Town Board authorization to clean up, secure, demolish certain properties in the town of Islip. Taryn, if you would.
Good afternoon, Madam Supervisor, members of the Town Board, Town Clerk. Taryn Brzezinski, Assistant Town Attorney with the Town of Islip, 655 Main Street, Islip, New York. Number 1, to clean up the vacant lot located at 0 Palfrey Street, Bayshore. On this property, there now exists high grass and overgrown vegetation, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Any questions? Hearing none, motion by Councilman Bergen, second by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed is approved.
Number 2, to board and clean up the premises located at 12 East Haley Lane, Central Islip. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists unsecured windows, an unsecured detached garage, high grass, overgrown vegetation, and litter and debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Any questions?
Make a motion to board up.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Bergen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved.
Number 3, to board and clean up the premises located at 17 McKinley Street, Islip. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists unsecured windows and doors, an unsecured above-ground pool, an unregistered vehicle, overgrown vegetation, and litter and debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman Bergen.
Second.
Second by Councilman Flatter. All those in favor? Opposed is approved.
Number 4, to board and clean up the premises located at 25 East Chestnut Street, Central Islip. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists unsecured windows and doors, high grass, overgrown vegetation, and litter and debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Questions?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilwoman Bergen. All those in favor? Opposed is approved.
Number 5, to board and clean up the premises located at 34 20th Avenue, Bayshore. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists unsecured windows and doors, an unsecured above-ground pool, a derelict camper, a derelict boat, high grass, overgrown vegetation, and litter and debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Questions?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Bergen. Second by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved.
Number 6 has been withdrawn as it is now in compliance. Number 7, to board and clean up the premises located at 57 Satinwood Street, Central Islip. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists unsecured windows and doors, an unsecured detached shed, high grass, overgrown vegetation, and litter and debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none, motion? Motion by Councilman Mullen, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved.
Number 8, to board up the premises located at 60 Cypress Street, Central Islip. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists unsecured windows and doors, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Questions?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Bergen.
Second.
Second by Councilman Flatter. And all those in favor? Opposed? It is approved.
Number 9, to clean up the premises located at 78 South Ocean Avenue, Bayport. On this property, there now exists high grass, overgrown vegetation, and litter and debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Any questions?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Bergen.
Second.
Second by Councilman Flatter. And all those in favor? Opposed? It is approved.
Number 10 has been withdrawn as it is now in compliance. Number 11 has also been withdrawn. Number 12, to board and clean up the premises located at 190 Louise Drive, Bayshore. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists unsecured windows and doors, an unregistered vehicle, an unsecured garage, high grass, overgrown vegetation, and litter and debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Any questions?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Bergen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved.
Number 13 has been withdrawn as it is now in compliance. Number 14, to board and clean up the premises located at 209 Walter Avenue, Hauppauge. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists unsecured windows and doors, an unsecured detached accessory structure, high grass, overgrown vegetation, and litter and debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman Bergen. Second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Is approved.
Number 15, to board and clean up the premises located at 225 Connecticut Avenue, Bayshore. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists unsecured windows and doors, an unsecured garage, unregistered vehicles, high grass, overgrown vegetation, and litter and debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman Bergen. Second by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? Is approved.
Number 16, to board and clean up the premises located at 299 Nickel Avenue, Central Islip. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists unsecured windows and doors, high grass, overgrown vegetation, and litter and debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Any questions? Hearing none. Motion?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Is approved.
Number 17, to clean up the vacant lot located at 500 Suffolk Avenue, Brentwood. On this property, there now exists high grass, overgrown vegetation, and litter and debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Is that a vacant lot?
It is.
Was that the address? 500
Yes, that was the
Suffolk
address.
Avenue.
Yes.
So we are cleaning this up and charging back the county? Is this not the parcel owned by the county?
The address that the kid gave.
Yeah, that was the address of the two speakers that came earlier.
I have in the title report that assignment and assumption agreement between Suffolk County and Liberty Plaza, 550
Yeah,
Liberty
that's
Plaza.
it. Okay, very good, thank you.
Super fun site.
You know, this is raising some questions as far as, yeah.
That's a super fun site, I believe.
It was, and I don't know if it had gotten clearance. Do we know about that? No. Okay, so then we're going to table this particular one, 3.17, which is 500 Suffolk Avenue, Brentwood.
All right, that's a motion, there's a second. to
Motion
table.
and a second to table. I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second by Councilman Bergen. All those in favor, opposed, that particular item is tabled. We'll go to 18 then, which is the subject that we had a number of speakers earlier today, so I'm sure they will be pleased.
Okay, number 18, to board and clean up the premises located at 679 Tanglewood Road, West Islip. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists unsecured windows and doors, a hole in the roof, a deck in disrepair, high grass, overgrown vegetation, and litter and debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Any questions? Hearing none. Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Bergen, second by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? Is approved.
Number 19, to board and clean up the premises located at 862 Green Lawn Avenue, Islip Terrace. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists unsecured windows and doors, an unsecured in-ground pool, high grass, overgrown vegetation, and litter and debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Any questions?
Motion approved.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Bergen. All those in favor? Opposed? Is approved.
Number 20, to board and clean up the premises located at 1250 Church Street, Bohemia. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists unsecured windows and doors, an unsecured shed, high grass, overgrown vegetation, and litter and debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Any questions? Hearing none, motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Bergen, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed is approved.
Number 21, to clean up the premises located at 1345 North 5th Avenue, Bayshore. On this property, there now exists high grass, overgrown vegetation, and litter and debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Any questions?
Yes. Just look at 21. I believe 21 and 1 might be the same property owner. It's like an L shape. My one comment or question is, number one, it's not just really cleaning up of overgrowth. There's, I think, a lot of illegal activities going on in the woods there, so it might be other things in there that need to be cleaned up. So I just want you to be aware.
Okay. Well done, ma'am.
All right, so we have a motion and a second on 21, yes?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Councilman Flattering, second by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed is approved. Thank you very much, Taryn. That was 21 parcels that you needed to address. It's an awful lot of work, and you're really doing a fine job. Thank you very much. You know, we just addressed, as I said, 21 vacant abandoned properties. One thing I want to take the opportunity to put on the record, it just hit me. A number of the speakers who came forward today that spoke about Heartland said that the town board chose to double the size of the allowable buildings from 5 stories to 10, and also made reference to the wise decision on the part of the County Planning Commission. I just want to make sure that everybody is perfectly clear that the Suffolk County Planning Commission approved the entire 9,000 plus units of the application for the 452 acres. What this town board did was to approve about a third, 3,000 plus units, 113 acres, and reduced the amount of stories that the County Planning Commission recommended at 20 to 10, which is the existing height of the buildings that are on the Pilgrim State parcel now. So I just felt that in the interest of full disclosure and accurate information, that was important for everybody to understand. Okay, we will go to item number 4, authorization for the supervisor to accept funds from National Grid for the required work needed on Hawthorne Avenue in East Islip by the Department of Public Works. Any questions?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Flattering. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item number 5, authorization for the supervisor to accept funds from Suffolk County for the Youth Development, Delinquency Prevention, and Runaway Homeless Programs in the town of Islip. Motion by Councilwoman Bergen, second by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? Is approved. Authorization for the town clerk to advertise for a public hearing to consider amending the Uniform Traffic Code of the town of Islip. Any questions? Motion by Councilwoman Bergen, second. Second by Councilwoman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? Is approved. Item number 7, authorization ensuring that the current base proportion of either the homestead or non-homestead class does not exceed the adjusted base proportion of the immediately preceding year by 1% in accordance with real property tax law, section 1903, and Town of Islip Local Law number 3 of 1982. Any questions? Hearing none. Motion. Motion by Councilwoman Mullen, second by Councilwoman Bergen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item number 8, town board approval of a waiver for 1 year of all building, plumbing, and other related permit fees required for residential properties that participate in the Suffolk County Financial Incentive Program to replace septics and cesspools that cause pollution. Any questions?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Bergen. All those in favor? Opposed? Is approved. Item number 9, authorization for the supervisor to execute the documents required for Verizon Wireless to enter into a sublease with New Singular Wireless for a portion of town-owned property on Captree Island.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Flattering, second. Second by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? We have 4 in favor, 1 abstention. Item number 10, authorization for the town clerk
to advertise for public hearing to consider amending the Islip Town Code, TC 1-5, relating to the reduction of fines for violations relating to expired meters in the parking management program. Any questions? Hearing none. Motion? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second.
Second.
By Councilman Flaherty. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item number 11, authorization for the supervisor to enter into a supplemental agreement for Lex Volo to provide an increase to their scope of services, specifically to include air service provided by Frontier Airlines. And I'm sure everyone is aware of the fact that Frontier Airlines is starting service in August. They're starting with one flight nonstop to Orlando, back and forth every day. And in October, they're starting service to 5 additional cities, 4 in Florida, Miami being one of them, and Fort Myers, which already has been proving to be very, very popular, New Orleans, and then in the spring, adding 5 more cities, Chicago, Detroit, Minneapolis, Charlotte, and one other. Atlanta. Thank you, thank you. So it's engendered an awful lot of excitement about the airport, and really a plus for our residents. Thank you, Commissioner LaRose Arkin. Motion? Motion by Councilman Bergen, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Authorization with the supervisor to enter an agreement with Johnson, Kukuda, and Lucchese to provide design and engineering services relating to the rehabilitation of runway 624 at Long Island MacArthur Airport. Motion? Motion by Councilman Mullen, second. By Councilman Flaherty. All those in favor? Opposed? Is approved. Item 13, Town Board approval of Trius as a sole source supplier of service and equipment for Timco heavy equipment at Long Island MacArthur Airport.
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Bergen, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Is approved. Item 14, authorization for the supervisor to enter an agreement with Suffolk Transportation for temporary parking during construction at the Brentwood Recreation Center, and we thank them for accommodating us. It will enable our seniors to have a place to park during this renovation that's happening in the paving and parking lot. Motion by Councilman Bergen, second. By Councilman Flaherty. All those in favor? Opposed? Is approved. Item 15, authorization for supervisor to enter an agreement for all county amusements to hold a carnival and fireworks display at Ronkonkoma Beach. Any questions? Hearing none. Motion? Motion by Councilman Flaherty, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Is approved. Next item on the agenda is the meeting of the Town of Islip Industrial Development Agency. Mr. Walzer. We will call the agency board to order, and a motion by Councilman Bergen, second by myself, a quorum being present. All those in favor? We are in session. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the agency board. John Walzer, 40 Nassau Avenue, Islip, New York. I just have a few items for your consideration today. The first order of business is to approve the minutes from our last board meeting on June 20th.
Any questions on that? On the minutes, motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Bergen. All those in favor? Opposed? Is approved.
The next item is the only new project to be brought before you today. It is a inducement resolution between the agency and Competition Architectural Metals. This company is a manufacturer of architectural metal and glass for the construction industry. They're currently located in a leased facility in Farmingdale. They're purchasing a building on Constance Court in Hauppauge, doubling their footprint. They're making a $4 million capital investment, bringing with them over 20 jobs and creating an additional 10.
Any questions on this? Hearing none, motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Bergen. All those in favor? Opposed? Is approved.
Okay, the next 3 items are authorizing resolutions for projects you've already induced. The next item is an authorizing resolution for between the agency and M&M Awning and Canvas at 200 Oval Drive in Islandia.
Any questions?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Bergen, second by Councilman Flaherty. All those in favor? Opposed? Is approved.
The next item is to consider the adoption of an amended authorizing resolution between the agency and the Nature's Bounty Company. As you know, this project includes multiple properties. This amended authorizing resolution adds back 4320 Vets Highway to the project. It was previously pulled because the company hadn't finalized a lease agreement with the landlord. So it was on the original application. and we're putting it back on.
Any questions? Hearing none, motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Flatteren, second by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item 6.
The last item is an authorizing resolution between the agency and Town Bus Corp. at 108 Hoffman Lane in Islandia.
Any questions?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Bergen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved.
And that's all I have.
No other business to come before us. We'll have a motion to adjourn the agency meeting.
Motion to
Motion by
adjourn.
Councilman Flatteren, second by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will go to item 17, authorization for the town clerk to advertise for a public hearing to consider the transfer of property under the Town of Islip Community Development Agency's Affordable Housing Program. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Bergen.
Second.
Second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item 18 are the option year resolutions. Questions? Hearing none. Motion by Councilman Bergen. Second. Second by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. Next, item 19 are the bid awards. Motion by Councilman Bergen. Second by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item 20, authorization for the supervisor to execute documents necessary for an access agreement, easement rather, with the Town of Islip Foreign Trade Zone for access over town-owned land. Any questions?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Bergen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item 21, authorization with the supervisor to enter into various agreements for recreation programs to be held throughout the town of Islip, which will be funded by registration fees. We just saw the proof of the booklet that's going out for the fall programs. The summer programs are in full swing. We're getting so many positive comments, feedback. Some of the programs that are in the parks during the evening, the movie nights and concerts and Christmas in the park, which was supposed to be held last night, but the weather pushed it off to next Monday, which gives me an opportunity to kind of advertise a little bit. But they're going to have Santa and candy cane hunts and Mr. Bubble doing a show and the movie Elf, and it just promises to be a very, very fun-filled family event. Bring your picnic dinners from 6 to 10 at Brookwood Hall.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Bergen, second by Councilman Flatteren. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Next, we go to item 22, authorization for supervisor to apply for and accept grant funding from the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York for repairs and improvements at various locations within the town of Islip. Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Bergen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. 23, authorization for the supervisor to enter an agreement for Backflow Specialists, Inc. to provide RPZ testing on Suffolk County Water Authority pipes located at Town of Islip facilities. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Bergen, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item 24, authorization of the town board to accept a donation of certain aerial messaging services from SNJ-2 Corporation as supplementation to the current marketing and media campaign at Long MacArthur Airport.
Motion.
These are kind of like public service announcements. Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Bergen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved, and we thank you. Item 25, Town Board approval of Temporary Heating Technologies and Slope Care LLC as distributor, as a sole source dealer and service supports for spider mowers used at the Town of Islip Blydenburg Road Clean Fill Landfill Facility. Any questions?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Bergen, second by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item 26, authorization for the supervisor to execute all documents necessary for the cost-free updates and upgrades to the town Springbrook payroll application system. Any questions? Hearing none.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Bergen, second by Councilman Cochran. And I would just like to take this opportunity to thank Arthur Abadi, our Director of Personnel. Making that conversion in computer systems is not an easy task when you're dealing with people's paychecks. So that was rather seamless, took a lot of effort, so we thank you for that. Next item, 27, is the special events. And one of the events in particular was called attention to by a number of speakers. That was Alive by the Bay. by all accounts, it was very successful. And I just want to indicate for the record that the same kind of requirements that we had in place last time, that Maple Avenue be kept open, and the same timing is in place. Any questions? Yes.
For the organizers of this event, traffic was backed up all over the Bayshore Fire Department. If there was an accident, anything happened on Union Boulevard, if they could get to the substation, thank God there was nothing that day. The one that got me, I think, a little upset, when you proposed to us that you were going to put signs up directing traffic to Maple Avenue, they were not visible. I was going all over with Boy Scouts and other things that afternoon, and it was not, you guys did not put signs up. So traffic going across Clinton, it should have been diverted on Union to go to 4th Avenue down to Maple. And it should be going both directions, because Union Boulevard gets backed up. You don't see that. You know, on my office, I made a mistake of putting asphalt down that day, and I put a yellow tape around it. Everybody, ripped down the yellow. I don't mind people parking my lot, but to get to my office, it's hard. And, these are good things for downtown Bay Shore, but you got to organize, you got to plan. If you told us you're going to put signs up directing traffic, do it. Because that's a no-go. If there was an accident on 5th Avenue, our Bay Shore Fire Department would have to go down 3rd and wrap around. That's not planned. So that was my thoughts.
Can I address that? So that was our
Please come up to the podium.
So my name is Anthony Tartaglia, 70 East Main Street, Bayshore. The signage for Maple Avenue was proposed if we were shutting down Maple Avenue. When we had to keep Maple Avenue open, then we were under the assumption that we didn't need any signage directing traffic down a road that was left open.
Well, you need signage.
Okay,
I
absolutely.
mean, that's the bottom line. Because
Sure.
we can close it down on safety issues. I can call the Bayshore Fire Department right now, and they'll go. Because I mean, when you see that traffic backed up to basically Howells Road, that's
So what do you want to see? Signs from the LIR
on 5th Avenue.
all the way south?
Well, no, just off of 5th Avenue, Sunrise, 5th.
Okay.
Directing those, because, you have a lot of people going down to the ferries and to the event. So, when you sit there and direct the traffic on 5th, if there was something happening, even 3rd Avenue gets backed up. So it's just a matter, we're causing a bottleneck, and let's direct the traffic as early on as possible. And from the east, when we're driving west toward Brightwaters, there should be signs directing, into 4th, into Maple to get the ferries. Because everything backs up. You had a good event.
Sure.
Just that's my
So
suggestion.
where would you like us to reroute the traffic to?
When you go down 5th, there should be signs turning at Union Boulevard to get to 4th Avenue.
Okay.
And on Union Boulevard, like by the hospital, early enough, or maybe 1st Avenue, Maple Avenue's open, just those signs, the signs that you did are effective to, whoever printer you use, it just direct them to 4th Avenue.
Got it.
All right?
Thanks.
One other thing I need the backup on the resolution cites the times from 4 to 10 p.m., but we do know that it's 5 to 9 p.m., correct?
Correct. Shutting
Okay.
down Main Street at 5 p.m. and starting the event at 6 p.m.
Correct. And the other thing that we had discussions about, and I just want to put it on the record, that there will be enforcement about no open containers, because that was an issue with people filtering, onto Gibson and the neighborhoods with open containers, and that certainly is not permissible. And in speaking with the police department, there is going to be, enforcement of no open containers, so that everyone is aware of it. So you should really share that with the restaurants, the bars in particular, that they are to keep their people, corralled, if you will, in those pen areas and not letting anybody walk out with an open container.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions or comments on any of the events, or this one in particular? Okay, hearing none, motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Flatteren, second. Did you make the second?
Yeah.
Second by Councilman Bergen, all those in favor? Opposed, is approved. Last item on the agenda, authorization for the supervisor to enter an agreement with the Islip Arts Council to provide management and operation services for the Islip Town Art Museum. Any questions? Hearing none, motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Flatteren, second. Is there a second? By Councilman Mullen, all those in favor? Opposed, it is approved. The meeting is adjourned. I'll call for a vote to motion by Councilman Bergen, second